Hello everyone, welcome back to Z Computer Lessons. Everyone is having an amazing and fantastic time. Today I have some really interesting material for you. We are going to be looking at CS21, or should I say Computer Studies 2021. This is the paper that the internal candidates wrote, and I'm going to be sharing with you. We are going to go through all the questions in this paper, and I'm going to provide the answers for each and every question. I have made a promise to you that in this video it's going to be less than an hour.
I respectfully disagree.
As opposed to how I usually make these videos, I want to make this video as short as possible. So without wasting any much of your valuable time, let us begin. Before we begin, I want us to look at the instructions, because the instructions are very important. This is just going to be less than 1 minute, I promise. So let us go through the instructions. This paper is obviously 1 hour 45 minutes, as you can see here, and it carries 70 marks, which means the other 30 marks are for the practical part. When you're writing the examination, you must follow these instructions 1 up to 4, and cell phones are not allowed, obviously. But most importantly, you should look at the questions that in this paper there are 3 sections, section A, B, and C, and you should answer all the questions in these 3 sections. Okay, so these are the things that I wanted to point out. Lastly, in section A, the section that we're going to start with, it will have multiple choice answers, so which will be A to D. So we are going to select the multiple choice that is appropriate for us. If the answer is, for example, in question 1 A, we're going to mark it as A. If it's B, and so on and so forth. So that's it. So let us jump right into section A. So this is section A. I want to clarify something before I begin. I didn't find this paper wherever I get these papers from my sources. So I had to type the entire document in Microsoft Word. So if you notice this document or this video looks a bit different, it's because I typed it myself. This is not captured with a camera. That's why it's looking very standard and it's looking very professional, because I typed it myself. It's not looking bent, blurred or something. So that's what I wanted to clarify before we begin. So let us start by understanding the questions. The question says, or the instructions rather, they say answer all questions, mark your answer with a cross on the answer grid provided in the answer booklet. But since we are not answering the exam, let us just begin by answering the questions. Section A, question 1 says an example of an output device is dash. So is it a mouse click, mouse pad, touchpad, or touch screen? The answer is touch screen. A touch screen is a device that can be used for both input and output. And since the question is talking about output, it also qualifies to be called an output device. So let us move on. Question 2. What mathematical operation is performed when a / is placed between 2 numeric values in a spreadsheet? So in a spreadsheet, the mathematical operation that is performed when we place a / between 2 numeric values is called division. Okay, let me show you in Excel real quick. Let me open Microsoft Excel by searching for it. Microsoft Excel, this is Excel 2016, and I will demonstrate to you that the / is the operation or mathematical operation. When we place it between 2 numeric values, it gives us the quotient or the answer from a division operation. So let's say we have 2 cells. In this cell we have the number 2, and in this adjacent cell we have, let's say, the number 4. Not so. So let's say we want to divide this value by this value in B2. So this is what we do. Let's say we want our answer to be here. So this is what we do. We press the equal to sign, then we type the cell that we want to divide the number into. So this is cell C2, and we want to divide the content of C2 by B2. So this is what we are talking about in the question. We have to press the forward slash. So this is the forward slash. As you can see, this is a forward slash. So when you add this forward slash between the next number that I'm going to add, we're going to obtain a division operation, or the quotient. So we want to divide C2 by B2. So now we click on B2 and press enter. As you can see, when we divide 4 by 2, the answer is surely 2. So as you can see, the forward slash is used when placed between two numeric values in a spreadsheet. It gives us the quotient. As simple as that. Let us move on. Question 3. Which of the following is an optical storage medium? An optical storage medium. So an optical storage medium, what's an optical storage medium? An optical storage medium is a type of digital storage that uses light from a laser to read and write data on a spinning disk. So we use light properties to enter data on a spinning disk. So let's just read the notes below. Optical disks encode data in tiny indentations on the surface of a disk, called pits and lands. When a laser is shown on the disk, a pit does not reflect the light, and so it represents a 0, while a land reflects the light and represents 1. So what they're essentially saying here is optical storage medium are mediums that store data using light properties. So the laser makes holes on that material, and when a laser is shown on that material, when it reflects light, that means that it is a 1. When it doesn't, it represents a 0. So therefore, we can store data using 1s and 0, obviously. So the answer here is the compact disk. So the compact disk, whenever you see disk, we're talking about a storage medium that is using light to store data. So the answer here is compact disk. Let us move on. Question 4. A gigabyte is equivalent to what? So a gigabyte is equivalent to exactly 1024 megabytes. So a gigabyte is equivalent to 1024 megabytes. So whenever you have 1024 megabytes, that becomes automatically a gigabyte. So let us move on. Which action is performed when the following keyboard keys are pressed together? So these are the keyboard keys. When we press these keyboard keys, the control and the V. So this is how we abbreviate the what is the keyboard key control. So when we press the keyboard key control and V, what happens or what action is performed? In order for me to show you, let me open Microsoft Word. Or let's just use our Excel program. This is not just bound to Microsoft Word. Even Excel does this. So let's say I want to copy these two. So I press the keyboard shortcut Control C, and I want to paste it somewhere. By paste, I mean take it somewhere on a different location. So let's say I want to take what I copied here, which is the number 2. I want it to be pasted here. So what shortcut should I press? The shortcut is Control V. As you can see, the number has been pasted. So the correct answer here is paste. So when we press Control and V on the keyboard, the action that is performed is pasting. So we have pasted. So that's the answer. Let us go to question 6. How are files? Sorry, let me just repeat what I said. How are files transferred from the computer to the internet? This is by uploading. So the correct answer here is uploading. Downloading is taking files from the internet and to your device, such as your mobile phone or laptop, etc. So let us go to question 9 or 7. Let us go to question 7. Which of the following health problems is linked to prolonged use of computers? So when you use computers for a long time, which health problem are you at risk of having? So we have options here. So the correct answer here is wrist pain. All these are not answers related to prolonged use of computers. The correct answer is wrist pain. The reason for this is because when you're typing, you're using your hands, and your they start to pain because you're doing it repeatedly. So you might end up having wrist pains. So let's go to question 8. A dash is an electronic document or file stored on a computer. We have these options, but since I'm on a time limit here, I'm just going to go direct to the answer. So the correct answer is soft copy. And why is this the correct answer? Because soft copy is data that is in a form that a computer can store or display it on the computer screen. So whatever document is on the computer that can be displayed, that's called soft copy. So the answer is soft copy. Soft copy is an electronic document or file stored on a computer. Let us move on to question 9. A group of characters that identify a specific user of a computer system is known as dash. So a group of characters simply mean symbols such as forward slash, asterisk, and all that stuff. Commas, forward slashes, and so on. I've already mentioned this forward slash. So it can also consist of numbers and letters. So the correct answer is password, because a password can contain symbols and numbers and letters and all that stuff. But a passcode only contains numbers, so it's not the answer. A user account doesn't make sense. Username only contains letters. I haven't seen a person who has a number on their name. So therefore the answer is password. So the password is a group of characters used to identify user of a computer system on a computer. So let us go to question 10. Question 10 says convert 4096 bytes to kilobytes. So I've already done this. When you want to convert, here is a trick. I've already converted this on a rough piece of paper. Here is a trick. When you are converting a big unit, such as let's say we have 2 units. Let's say we have a byte and a kilobyte. We all know that a kilobyte is bigger than a byte. So let's say we are trying to convert this number which is given in bytes, this 4096, we are trying to convert it into a kilobyte. A kilobyte is a big unit, not so. So when you're converting a small unit to a bigger unit, we have to divide that unit by 1024. When you're converting a big unit to a small unit, let's say kilobyte to byte, we have to multiply that unit by 1024. So since we are converting this small unit 4096 bytes to kilobytes, we're converting the small unit, the bytes, to a big unit, kilobyte. We need to divide this number by 1024. So when you do that, my friends, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have the answer, which is 4 kilobytes. So 4096 bytes in kilobytes is 4 kilobytes, which is C. So correct answer on question 10 is C. Let us go on to question 11. What feature do the letters I and M represent in the term WIMP? Okay, what do those letters represent? So let me tell you what these letters represent. The W stands for Windows, I stands for icons, M stands for menus, and P stands for I don't know, I've forgotten. P stands for what? Okay, you get the point, not so. I don't know if it stands for pointer or something like that, but yeah, I can remember W, Windows, icons, and menus. So since we're talking about I and M, it's talking about icons and menus. So we're talking about a graphical user interface here. What this means is that when you are using a graphical user interface, an interface where you are able to interact with the computer using pictures such as these I'm showing you here. So all these are pictures, you are able to see them with your eyes, not so. So we are interacting with this computer using the I stands for icons. These little images you're seeing here, these are icons. And this M, for example, when I right click here, have you seen this? It brings a menu. So that M stands for menu. So that stands for icons and menus. So that's the correct answer. The correct answer is A. Let us move on to question 12. Which of the following controls the processes in a washing machine? So the correct answer here is a microchip. A microchip processes and controls the flow of data and instructions inside a computer. They interact with other parts of the computer to produce output. So the correct answer here is a microchip. So let us go to question 13. The loss of human skills and the acquired knowledge to a computer system is known as dash. What do we call that? The correct answer is descaling. What is descaling? Descaling is the loss of skills that an employee or group of employees had once. So let's say you have a skill. Not so. You type documents. Then a person somewhere develops a software that is able to type, because we are in the age of artificial intelligence. Nowadays, a computer can type better than a human being. So imagine you work at an organization, let's say a pressing company where you create books, not so. So now they introduce this software that has been developed, which means that you are no longer going to be typing. And that skill that you have of typing, you will lose it because of the knowledge that you're not using. Computers have been introduced, so you end up losing that skill. So that's what we call descaling. Okay, this can happen through lack of use of what is certain skills caused by change of employment, new working conditions, or introduction to technology, and so on and so forth. Let us go to question 14. Question 14. Which of the following application software uses the extension docs on saved files? So as you know, there's a past paper I covered recently. You can check them out. I explained why we use file extensions, and they are used to identify different files on the computer system. So which application has that extension at the last? So I've added some notes. All files have an extension. So an extension is identified by a period followed by a code of a few characters that identify what type of file they are. So let me go on the desktop and just open a file. Let's say this file. I right click and go on info, and that's going to show me the extension. Let's go on properties. Hopefully it's going to show me an extension. Have you seen this? It's shown an extension .pdf. So this is the extension we're talking about here, .pdf. So this is an extension for documents. So when I open a different file, let's say this Adobe InDesign, I right click and I go where it says properties. It's going to show me a different extension. As you can see, where can I see it? Let's see on the details. On general, let's see general. As you can see, it has an extension of .link, because this is a link. And different files have different extensions, obviously, and the like. I think you get the point. So let us go back to our document. So these are some common extensions. So as you can see, to your left we have the extensions, then in the middle section here we have the type of file, okay, and to the right we have the software that can be used to open that file. So if you see at the end of a file there is .txt, which means it's a text only file, and an application that can be used to open that text only file is Notepad. And we have here .docs, which was been given in the question, and we can see that this is a document processing file, and a software that can be used to open it is Microsoft Word, and as you can see the like, and the list goes on and on and on and on. If you want, you can Google more of them. There are hundreds of them. You can find different types of files on a computer, obviously. So we are interested in this one, the .docs file here, this one here. This is the file that we are interested in. So as you can see, the answer here is a Microsoft Word. So the application software that uses an extension docs on saved files is Microsoft Word. So question 14, the answer is D. Let us move on to question 15. The figure below shows part of a spreadsheet used to keep marks obtained by students in a test. So this is a part of a spreadsheet. As you can see, this is column A, column B, column C, row 1, row 2, row 3, and row 4. So let us look at the questions. The question reads as follows. Which of the following function can be used to count the number of students using column B? So which function can be used to find the number of students using this column B? So I have created a copy of this spreadsheet. I created it. Let me just open it. Let's say files. Where is it? Open recent files. I think it's this one. I recreated this spreadsheet. Let us just give it a moment. So it's in here. So this is what we are talking about in column B. What function can we use, or formula rather, what formula can we use to calculate the number of students using column B? So using this column B. So as you can see, I found that there are 3, and this is the function equal to sign count A open brackets B2 to B4 close brackets. So this is the function, and if you look at this function I used to obtain this answer, you'll find that it's the exact function here. So the correct answer here is B. So the correct answer here is B. Equal to sign count and A B2 to B4. So that's the correct answer. This is not the correct answer, because if we use this formula or this function, this function is only used to count numbers. So this function can only be used to count this column C. But since these are not numbers, they are letters, this function won't work. This is why we are using this function B. It's the count function with the letter A. That's as simple as it gets. Let us go on to question 16. A network between organizations that allow external users to have limited access to the network or the resources is called what? So the type of network that is called the intranet. If you want, you can check out the 2022 video. I'll share a link somewhere. I talked about the intranet. So it's just a private network used by organizations. So that's the answer. The answer is a B. Let us go to question 17. Which of the following is not a web browser? So which of the following is not a web browser? So Chrome is a web browser. Google is not a web browser. Internet Explorer is a web browser. Mozilla Firefox is a web browser. So the correct answer here is a B. The reason why Google is not a web browser is because Google is only used to find information, organize information that you search for on the internet. It doesn't collect, to only assist you in finding the information. So the answer is B. Google is a search engine and not a web browser. So let us go to question 18. In a spreadsheet, AB and BZ are examples of what? So in a spreadsheet, these are examples of column labels. As you can see, when I open Microsoft Excel, as you can see, this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D, and this list goes on and on and on. And this, because the letters in the alphabet are a finite collection of letters, not so. They end at Z, which means when we end at Z, something needs to be added, not so. So let's say we end at Z in the alphabet. We are going to start now A1, A2, A3, A4, something like that, or AA, AB, AC, AD, and so on and so forth. So these are column labels. As you can see, as you go from left to right, eventually these letters will start to the names will change. They will start to be AA, AB, A whatever, and so on and so forth. So these are column labels. Let us go to question 19. The process of preparing a magnetic disc to be used for the first time is called what? What do we call that process? So that process is called formatting. What is formatting? Formatting is dividing a disc into marked segments so that it may store data. So that's formatting. If you want, you can Google and Google. Let us go to the final part of question section A, question 20. The resource of a private network can be protected from outside users using a dash. So what can we use to protect the resources of a private network? The correct answer is a firewall. So a firewall is a system consisting of a combination of hardware and software that limits the exposure of a computer or computer network to attack from crackers. Commonly used on local area networks that are connected to the internet. So that's what we can use to protect the resources of a private network. Therefore, we end this part, and I hope you have understood, even though I was rushing because I want this video to be a small video as possible. The duration, I want it to be limited. So therefore, let us go right into section B. Welcome back. This is section B and it carries 20 marks. The instructions are simple. Let us go through the instructions. There are 15 questions in this section, so we should answer all questions in this section using a short phrase or one-word answer. So therefore, having said the instruction, let us begin. Question 1 says a byte is equal to dash bits. We know that a byte is a collection of 8 bits. So therefore, a byte is equal to 8 bits. The answer here is A. Let us go to question 2. Dash and dash are examples of personal computers. So the two examples of personal computers are laptops and desktops. So personal computers are small digital computers based on a microprocessor and designed to be used by one person at a time. So therefore, the laptops and desktops are examples of personal computers. Question 3. The acronym ISP stands for what? So the letters ISP stands for Internet Service Provider, or should I say Internet Service Provider. So what is an Internet Service Provider? An Internet Service Provider is a company that provides a connection to the internet, such as in my country we have MTN, Zamtel and Airtel. Abroad there are different networks, T-Mobile, Verizon, all that stuff. So those are examples of internet service providers. Let us go to question 4. Escape. This is the abbreviation of the escape key on the keyboard. The escape key on the keyboard allows a user to dash an operation. The correct answer is the escape key allows us to cancel an operation. So as you can see, typically programmed to cancel the current operation or close the current window. So that's what the escape key does. It is programmed to cancel the current operation or close the current window. As simple as that. Let us go on to question 5. The application software that models the cash coming in and out of a business is called what? So the correct answer here is the cash flow management system. So this software manages the flow of incoming and outgoing funds within a business. It is used by businesses to forecast future cash flow based on past transactions without the software. Within the software, I mean. So you can use this software to predict your business in the future based on the data that you have currently. So the correct answer here is cash flow management system. This is just a software that models the cash coming in and out of a business. So let us go to question 6. Changing the properties of a document is called dash, while changing the content of a document is called dash. So when you're changing the properties such as making the text bold, italic, whatever, changing the font size, the font face, and all that stuff, making paragraphs and all that stuff. So that is formatting, not so. That is formatting, putting or arranging a document in a specific format. While changing content is called editing. So editing is just improving, adding or correcting a document. This can be adding pictures, removing words, adding words and all that stuff. So that's the difference between the two. Let us go to question 7. Dash is a part of a smartphone that takes commands and displays the output. So dash is a part of a smartphone that takes commands and displays the output. So that is called, what do we call that? What do we call it? So that's called the screen. So that's the screen. The screen is part of a smartphone that takes commands and displays the output. Okay? Let us go to question 8. In a spreadsheet, G9 is an example of dash. So I won't go any further. G9 is an example of a cell address. A cell address is a position in an electronic spreadsheet that is used to identify data by using the rows and column. It is identified by its row and column. So let me show you in Excel. This is G, not so. This is column G, and where is row 9? So this is G9, as you can see here in the name box. In the name box, you can see it is a G9. So that's an example of a cell address. Simple as that. Let us go to question 9. A dash is pattern of thick and thin lines which are oh God, let me just repeat what I said. Question 9 reads as follows. A dash is a pattern of thick and thin lines which are scanned to quickly identify a product. So what do we call that pattern of thick and thin lines? We call that, my friend, a barcode. So there's a difference between a barcode and a barcode reader. A barcode is that paper you see, that physical paper that is has been sticked on a product, which has a pattern of thick and thin lines. Usually they are vertical thick and thin lines, not so. So that's a barcode. A barcode reader, however, is a device that is used to read the barcode. That thing they hold with their hands when they're scanning that barcode. Yep, that's the barcode reader. But now we're not talking about the barcode reader, we're talking about that pattern of thick and thin lines. So therefore that's a barcode. Let us go on to question 10. The keyboard buttons dash and dash when pressed together is an instruction for selecting all text or icons. So what keyboard keys when pressed together are used to select all text or icons? So the keyboard keys are the Control and the letter A. So let us say in this document I'm working on right now, I want to select all the words. All I have to do is press Control and A. And as you can see, all my texts have been highlighted or selected. This just doesn't apply to letters or text. As you can see, when I go on my desktop here, this is the desktop, I'm on the desktop. I want to select all these icons here without doing this with my mouse. All I have to do is press my Control and A, and as you can see, all the icons have been selected on the desktop. So therefore, that's what they mean when they say the keyboard keys when pressed together select text or icons. Let us move on to 11. Dash are processed facts and figures that provide meaning to the user. So what do we call those processed facts and figures? So the correct answer is data, or what is information. Data is when we have information that hasn't been processed, just raw facts and figures. That's what we call data. But when we process those raw facts and figures, they become information. For example, when you are a teacher and the learners have answered their test, so that when you obtain those test papers, that's what we call data. that doesn't tell you anything. It doesn't tell you the performance of the learners or whatever. Only when you start to mark, or should I say process those test papers, that's when you are going to be able to get a clear picture. So now those answers that they wrote have now become information, because you're able to identify this one has failed, this one has passed, because they have been processed or marked. So that's the difference. So processed facts and figures that have meaning to the user, or in the example I've been giving you, meaning to the teacher, that's called information, not so. So the correct answer here is information. Let us go to question 12. A duplicate of an original file kept off-site for future reference is known as what? So what do we call a duplicate? When they say duplicate, they simply mean a copy, okay? An exact copy. So the answer here is a backup. So a backup is a copy of a file or directory on a separate storage device. So in case you want to copy something, let's say you have documents that you don't want to lose, it's very important. You can copy that, make a copy of that document and store it on a different device. For example, your phone, so that when your computer, where it is currently on, is damaged or stolen, you have a backup or a duplicate of that original file. So that's the answer. The answer here is a backup. Let us go to question 13. Dash and dash are examples of programs that corrupt and destroy computer files. What do we call those programs? They are called viruses or malware. As simple as that. Let us move on. A printer that produces images made up of several individual dots is dash, and the type of printer that uses it to transfer images from a printer head to a paper is dash. So whenever you see a question that is talking about a printer that is using dots, that's what we call a dot matrix printer. Whereas a printer that uses heat to transfer images from the printer head to paper, we call that a thermal printer. Thermal just means heat. So those are the two answers. Let us go to question 15. A dash is a set of instructions that allow hardware to communicate and a computer system, A set of instructions that allow hardware to communicate on a computer system is known as what? So the correct answer is software. So that's the definition of software. Therefore, that marks the end of the section B part. Without wasting any much of your time, let us go to question C. Welcome back to this paper. This is section C, and this section carries 30 marks. The instructions read as follows. There are 5 questions in this section. Answer all the questions in the answer booklet provided. We are not answering the exam. This is just a past paper review, so we shouldn't even worry about the answer booklet. Let's go to question 1. The following program shows, let me just repeat what I said. Question 1 reads as follows. The following diagram shows part of an Excel spreadsheet document. As you can see, this is what an Excel spreadsheet document looks like. We have obviously the columns labeled A, B, C, D, and the rows 1 to 8. So the questions read as follows. Which cells have been merged? So which cells are merged here? So when you look at our document, which cells look combined here? First of all, let us understand what to merge means. So what's to merge? So to merge simply means to join or combine or become one. So which cells have been joined or combined? So when you look carefully and closely to this diagram, you'll notice that this cell here doesn't end. Okay, it doesn't end where it should be. And this cell here, cell C, doesn't have borders to the left or to the right. And this cell D doesn't have a border to the left side as well. So basically what I'm trying to say is that these cells appear just to be a single cell, like a single rectangle. The reason why I'm saying this, and this can be a tip for you, especially if you're writing the exam, you identify a cell by looking at its boundaries. It should look like a rectangle. As you can see, this is a cell, this is a cell. But if you look closely to this cell, which is containing the text fuel cost analysis, this is a big rectangle, and as you can see, it is consisting of two or three, it's consisting of three columns: column B, column C, and column D. So therefore, these cells have been merged. The cell B1, C1, and D1. So these cells have been merged, and I've recreated this Excel document. Let me just show you real quick. As you can see, this cell, the whole lot of this cell, have you seen? It's even highlighted here. I've merged it. So this cell B1, C1, and D1 have been merged. Therefore, that's the answer. So the correct answer is B1, C1, and D1. So these cells are the cells that have been merged. But B says write a formula that can be used in cell D3 to calculate the cost of fuel used. So this is D3 here that I'm talking about. So which formula can be used to calculate the cost of fuel used? As you can see, the cost of fuel used can be obtained by multiplying the cost of fuel per liter by the amount of fuel used. So we multiply B3 by C3. So when we use this formula, we are going to get our answer. As you can see, we obviously start a formula using an equal to sign. So equal to sign B3 multiplied by C3. As you can see, I recreated this in Excel. As you can see, if I click this part D3, you're able to see the formula that I've entered. Equal to sign B3 multiplied by C3, and I've been given the answer here. So we have found the answer. Let us move on to part C. Part C says explain the steps involved to replicate the formula in cell D3 through to D7. So this is D3. Whatever formula we added here, how can we replicate or copy it to these cells all the way to D3 here? So what are the steps that are involved? To make things easy for you, let me just show you in Excel. So let me just delete the data in here. So this is the formula that we entered in D3, not so. The question is talking about using this same formula and copying it to the rest of the cells all the way to D7. So what do we do? So pay attention here as I demonstrate. We first click the cell, make it the active cell. We click it so that we tell Excel that this is the cell we are interested in. After doing that, we use the shortcut Ctrl+C to copy whatever content is in there. In this case, we are copying the formula, not so. After doing that, we click on the cells that we want to copy the formulas in. So we want to copy the formulas in cell D4 all the way to D7, not so. After selecting those, we have to paste the formula. So to paste the formula, what we need to do is press the keyboard keys Ctrl+V, and as you can see, we have pasted or we have replicated the formulas. So that's how we do it. So I've added notes that contain those steps. The first thing is we click the cell with the formula to select it. Then we press the keyboard keys Ctrl+C to copy the formula. Then we select a range or a cell or range of cells where you want to paste the formula. Then we press Ctrl+V to paste the formula. So those are the steps, my friends, that we need to carry out. Let us go to part D. What type of data is presented in cell C4? Where is C4? C4 is right here. So in C4, what type of data is presented? As you can see in C4, this is C4. When you look in here in the home tab or on the ribbon, the numbers group, we're able to see the type of data that we have. And as you can see, when I select this, it is displaying that we have a number. So the number format is the type of data that we have. As opposed to if I select where we have text, as you can see, it has changed. It is now showing general. General means we have it consists of letters and symbols and all that stuff. So that's the type of data that we have here, not so. It is numbers. So we can say that the type of data presented is number or numeric data. So those are the answers. So let us go to part 2. Mr. Nzelu has a cafe where he provides different internet services. So question A or part A says that apart from a computer, name one hardware needed to connect to the internet. So one hardware I can think of is the router. So the router is just a device that forwards data packets between computer networks. So the router is the correct answer here. Question or part B of question 2 is saying that state 2 services provided at the internet cafe. So the 2 services I can think of: internet access, printing, scanning, and photocopying. I've added some other options that you can explore. Other internet cafes obviously offer services such as gaming, software installation, and technical support. So those are the answers that you can choose from. Let's go to part C. Give one disadvantage of connecting a computer to the internet. So a disadvantage I can think of connecting a computer to the internet is that hackers may try to obtain unauthorized access to a computer network or your data. So that's one disadvantage of connecting a computer to the internet. Let us go to part D. Explain why it is important to log out of a user account after using the internet. So we need to explain here. So my explanation is that logging out reduces the chances of someone else accessing your information. And this is obviously especially when you are using public or shared devices, such as you're using computers at the internet cafe as given in this question. So you need to log out because obviously you're not the only one using that computer. It's a public computer. Therefore, if someone comes there and finds what you were doing, they will be able to read or copy your data and use it for other means that are not pleasant, obviously. So we are done with question 2. Let us go to question 3. A school uses a memory stick as a backup device to store computer studies assessment projects. Okay, so that's the question here. So these are the questions relating to that description. Part A says that name 2 other storage devices that the school could use to store computer studies assessment projects. So what other devices can this school use? I can think of the memory cards, or you can say in other words the SD card or the hard drive. So these are some options that a school can use as opposed of using the memory stick. Part D says give 2 advantages of using the memory stick. So what are the advantages of using that memory stick, or as we like to call it, the flash drive? So what are the disadvantages? The disadvantages are that it is portable. A flash drive is not that big of a deal. It doesn't carry up much space. You can hold it in your hands, in your pocket. Therefore, it's portable. You can carry it anywhere you feel like carrying it, obviously. And it's easy to use. It doesn't take you to have a degree or some other qualifications to use it. You don't have to be an expert. You just have to plug it in the port and you'll be able to store the data. So it's easy to use. The other answers that you can explore is that it is lightweight, it is not heavy, obviously. Large data, it can be stored, it has a large data storage capacity. Nowadays there are flash drives that have even a bigger storage capacity than PCs. 1 terabyte in a flash. Imagine that in your pocket you have 1 terabyte of data that can be stored. That's just something marvelous, not so? So those are the answers that you can explore. Let us go to part C. Explain why it is important to back up information regularly. The answer is that in case an unpredictable or unfortunate circumstance occurs, such as hardware failure or theft, the information can easily be retrieved and recovered. So if someone steals your computer and you have backed up your data, you can easily retrieve it and recover it, obviously. So that's one way of looking at this. Besides, this answer is just general knowledge. You can feel free to explore your answers and it will be marked. Therefore, that marks the end of this part or question 3. Let us go to question 4. Question 4 reads as follows. Computer devices are common in home appliances and office equipment. Part A says, name one home appliance and one office equipment that is controlled by a microprocessor. So the answers that I found are that a microwave is an home appliance. We use it for cooking and all that stuff, and it has a microprocessor. Okay, and a microwave has a microprocessor. And one office equipment I can think of is the printer. Obviously, it also has a microprocessor. Let's go to part B. Give 2 disadvantages of introducing computers in a workplace. So the disadvantages I thought of are as follows. Number 1, it reduces concentration on work due to distraction on social media, obviously. The other disadvantage is that it poses health risks due to poor use of computers. If you're not using a computer properly, you might end up having health problems. The others you can explore are that the cost of maintenance increase. Obviously, computers are expensive to maintain. It reduces social interactions. People don't communicate because they are constantly interacting with the computers. Workers become addicted to the electronic gadgets and so on and so forth. So let us go to part C. Explain how a computer can be used to monitor criminals or thieves. This is my explanation. When you have a computer, obviously, you can connect them to installed CCTV cameras for surveillance over the building or property. So you can use the computer as a monitor and you connect it to installed CCTV cameras around your premise, your home or your building, so that you can monitor 24/7 all day round. You can monitor criminal activities and all that stuff. So that's the answer. Let us go to the last and final part, question 5, or this section C, question paper. Let us explore it. Question 5 reads as follows. Electrocution can be a safety hazard in a computer laboratory. So these are the answers or the questions pertaining to the question. Give one cause of electrocution that might occur in a computer laboratory. So what I thought of is a poor electrical wiring or overloading. You can choose one, obviously. Overloading is that when you have an adapter and you have plugged multiple devices there, and the power that is coming out of there is so intense that it overloads, it might melt and so on and so forth. So yeah, that can cause electrocution. So let us go to part B. Explain how electrocution can be prevented in a computer laboratory. So in a computer laboratory, electrocution can be prevented by setting up and following computer laboratory rules which everyone in the lab must follow. So you should make sure that you come up with rules and follow them, so that when a person enters the computer lab is able to follow those safety rules. So let us go to part C. State 2 general safety rules for a computer laboratory which learners must follow when using computers. So what are the 2 general safety rules that learners must follow? I came up with these. The first one is they should not eat or drink in the laboratory. They should not carry their foodstuffs in the laboratory because electricity and liquids are a bad combination, obviously. The second one is that they should avoid stepping on electrical wires or any computer cables in case that wire is not insulated properly. So that's one general safety rule they should follow. The other one is that they should not open the system unit, casing, or any other device, obviously. Yeah, they shouldn't be opening, because when you open that casing, by the way, that casing is there for protection. Inside there are wires, and live wires can kill you. So that's one of the rules that I can think of. The last and final question of this paper is part D. It reads as follows. Give one health problem that may result from using a fixed chair. So the health problem that I thought of is that backbone and neck pain. So the backbone and neck pain are health problems that can result when using the computer, because we're talking about the chair here. So when you're not sitting properly, you might end up having back and neck pains. Therefore, that marks the end of this wonderful question paper. Hope you enjoyed and followed along. I thank you so much for your support, obviously, and all those new subscribers. Your effort hasn't gone unnoticed. There is wonderful content coming along the way. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Consider subscribing, giving us a like if you enjoyed this video, share it with your friends, your colleagues, and all that stuff, and let's make this subject a pleasant subject as possible. Thank you so much. This is Mr. Nsofua, and I'll see you in the next video.